uninstall these 3 mods or launchers immediately: CurseForge, Litematica, and the launcher. Today we're going to talk about 3 recent cases where game mods and launchers were or still are infecting PCs with malware. These are real problems, reported by official sources that affected the community. If you've ever used any of these mods or launchers at any point, it's a good idea for you to hear what happened and what you might be able to do. After the first CurseForge case, hundreds of mod downloads are infected across the internet. The second case involving Litematica is surprising and features an exploit that I honestly have never seen before, mainly affecting multiplayer servers you may have already played on.
And the last case, involving the launcher, is the most intriguing of all. Shall we get started?
Case number 1. CurseForge. We're talking about simply the biggest Minecraft mod platform, which, yes, ended up being the target of a hacker attack. And on a day like any other, we were surprised by an official tweet where they stated that users were downloading malware from their own website. The malware, called Fracturizer, was embedded in several mods on CurseForge and even in Bookit plugins. The attack started days earlier when accounts of famous developers were hijacked and used to upload malicious mod updates. And these contaminated mods were adopted by major modpacks like Better Minecraft with over 4 million downloads. In other words, even if they were small mods, they could be included in major modpacks that the community has been using for years. And when the player downloaded and ran the infected mod, the Fracturizer virus would perform a series of dangerous actions, loading a Trojan, and, in later stages, stealing sensitive user data such as browser cookies, credentials, Discord, Microsoft, and Minecraft tokens, and even cryptocurrency addresses. In other words, an extremely powerful virus. It could hijack your game accounts, crypto, and social media without you even noticing. And to make matters worse at the time, CurseForge, Modrit, and the official Minecraft community warned people not to download new mods until the crisis was over. Eventually, the security teams removed the infected mods and banned the suspicious accounts. So in summary, anyone who used the CurseForge launcher or even browsed official mod sites in June 2023 was at risk of infection. However, the problem isn't limited to just players from that time. It's not hard to imagine that the infected mods could have spread through various mod packs that a friend shared with another, that YouTuber X left for download, and even on several other less popular sites where you simply download the mod without knowing you might be downloading malware. And among the most well-known examples of infected mods were Wayne Dungeons Arise, Sky Villages, Skyblock Core, Auto Brood Cache, and several others, including the famous mod packs Better MC and Medieval MC. I'll leave the official CurseForge article in the video description so you can run it on your computer and check if your game is clean. But that's not even half the story, because the second case is much more surprising. Case 2. Litematica. Litematica, or simply Litematica as we pronounce it here in Brazil, is the most popular schematics mod in Minecraft. It allows you to import and share entire projects. You've probably seen those holograms, those ghosts, in some YouTuber's video that you use to build structures.
Using it as a guide, or simply,
you can copy and paste entire builds, both from your own worlds and from various websites on the internet. So you can make a beautiful world, create a server, or make something customized. And the most impressive thing is that this mod has over 30 million downloads and is almost omnipresent on technical servers. And guess what? It was discovered that in recent versions of the Litematica mod for Minecraft 1.21 and above, all players were vulnerable to one of the biggest attacks in Minecraft history. Look how great! In simple terms, it was a bug in the mod that allowed a malicious server to install a harmful file directly on your computer without you having to accept any download pop-up. Yes, if you had the Litematica mod in your launcher, in your mods folder, and joined any server, a roleplay server, a friend server, even the most popular server of course, as long as it was malicious, you could get infected. How does it work? Basically around June 2025, Litematica silently introduced a feature that allowed the server to send complete schematics, including extra data, directly to your .minecraft folder. And that's where the danger is, because if the mod can access your game folder, it's also possible for a malicious server to send other things to your .minecraft folder, and those things, yes, we're talking about malware, we're talking about viruses. The server uses something called path traversal to move up directories and write where it shouldn't. And that's what surprises me the most. The player doesn't need to click anything, the player doesn't need to access any external site just by having the mod from version 1.21 and up and joining a potentially malicious server, they're already at risk. And it was part of the technical community who discovered this, who noticed people on Discord getting infected. As soon as they understood the impact, they rushed to warn and fix it, and in less than 24 hours a safe update was released. But for months, it's estimated that the problem existed for about 6 months without anyone noticing. If you use Minecraft versions 1.21 or higher, leave any suspicious server and take the opportunity to check your mods folder. The files with strange names, especially those ending in .litematica.jar, can be malicious, so remove anything suspicious. And to be fair, there's no reason to panic if you don't use Litematica or only play offline. The announcement makes it clear. Multiplayer is at risk. Nothing happens in single player. In short, the mod could, or still can depending on your version, infect you just by joining a regular server. Update the mod immediately and do some checks. And if these two cases were already surprisingly serious, get ready, because the third one is the most controversial. Case 3. Launcher. Finally, let's talk about the launcher, an alternative launcher that's widely used by those who want to play Minecraft for free. And what's curious about this case is that for almost 10 years there's been a stigma about this launcher, but part of the community still defends it, simply because it's the most famous. The truth is that very little about the launcher is official, since there's no independent audit. Everything we know comes from reports by the community itself. For example, over on Reddit, there's a famous post from a user claiming they found spyware inside the launcher itself. Basically, a spy virus inside the most used launcher by pirate players. And what we know is that the iceberg about the launcher goes much deeper. It's a story that goes from accusations of spyware, abusive sales, tax havens, and betrayal among former owners. And this controversial story begins in October 2013 in Russia, with the creation of the launcher. The program was inspired by the popular fallen angel, Pirate Minecraft, which was widely used 10 years ago. The interface, in fact, is still very nostalgic today. Anyway, at the time there was a Russian site for mods and textures, minecraft.org, which agreed to distribute the download of this new Pirate Minecraft. And since it was already a famous site at the time, this would be good for Arthur, the person who started the launcher, since his idea would reach more people. The thing is, no one was innocent. The site that agreed to the partnership was biased and only cared about money. When you started the installation, a screen would pop up asking you to accept automatic customizations, and it wasn't specified what that was about. But looking deeper, it was discovered that the file manipulated your browser and even Windows itself. There was a huge list of Minecraft websites that, if you tried to access any of them, you would automatically be redirected to ruuminecraft.org. It didn't take long for this suspicious and possibly fraudulent behavior to be sanctioned by Yandex, which is basically the Google of China or Russia. In the early versions of the launcher, there was a huge ad at the top, and all of this caused a lot of conflicts between the partners who had different visions. Arthur, the supposed original author, left the project and decided to go solo with a similar launcher called the Telauncher Legacy. Remember that name, because you're going to be amazed. Meanwhile, around 2015, the owner of the site ruuminecraft.org officially registered the domain Telauncher, telauncher.org, and continued with the idea that was already very popular. And he almost immediately partnered with the servers so that they would always be recommended on the launcher's homepage. And don't get me wrong, but this guy had real vision. He really knew how to monetize his own business. It's basically like that movie The Founder, where the founder cared about the customer, but the partner just wanted to make more and more money. And in 2016, the official registration of the program was already done, stating that the supposed location of the company was in Seychelles, a country in the Indian Ocean, tax-free. To this day, the program is still considered offshore and is listed as being located in this tax haven, which helps to hide the personal details of the owners. And with this certificate in hand, the company would start sending copyright notices to any pages that mention the name, the launcher. And this was quite arbitrary and biased, since it wasn't clear what the real objective was other than eliminating competitors. And that's where the plot twist comes in. Arthur, the original creator of the launcher, had to change the name of his second creation. When he left the project, he created the Telauncher Legacy, and currently, because of all this controversy, the name is just TL Legacy.
Ruthlessly, the Launcher Corporation wiped out its former partner.
In fact, amid all this power-hungry infighting between the partners, even a website older than the launcher itself, which already had that name before and was related to Terraria, was also taken down. They simply stole the name too, and this whole story was legally swept under the rug, even including the Wayback Machine. For those who don't know, this site is a time machine that saves websites in their old versions so you can visit them at some point and see how they used to be. But in the case of the launcher, there's nothing. A multi-million-dollar company with questionable tactics steamrolled everyone and managed to become the story itself.
Wow, Super Lazao, the way you're talking is making me a fan of these guys. Stop right now.
I'm already a fan of them, you don't need to convince me. The thing is, the problems aren't just about a questionable story. For example, they monetize the program with monthly subscriptions that you pay just to install HD skins, custom capes, and remove ads. But like, all of that is stuff you can find for free as mods on the internet. It's completely backwards. You're paying a subscription for basic free features. They took a game that isn't even theirs, added mods and textures, and are selling it. Yeah, the so-called visionary never changes. Company even expanded to a server recommendation website where several active multiplayer servers are listed. And obviously, you can pay to have your server appear at the top, generating even more revenue for the owners. On Twitter, there's a profile called BlockDMC Servers that basically lists hundreds and hundreds of servers blocked by Mojang for not complying with the EULA. And of course, supposedly, if you pay a certain amount greasing the palms of the right people, your server can magically disappear from this blacklist inside Telauncher. There's a much deeper mess where several server owners have already spoken out, with some being favored while others were left out. It's bizarre and at the same time curious. All this information is on a foreign website called telegra.ph and in an article titled The True History of TL. It's like they say if something is free, it's because, in reality, you are the product. And, well, skipping ahead to the present day, at first, the idea that there are viruses in Telauncher became a controversy that got popular after the YouTuber Bobbycraft posted a video about it on his shocking channel with millions of subscribers. According to these people from the forum, there is a file inside Telauncher that was or is replaced after some automatic update. And this file would be spyware, basically a spy virus. It monitors what you search for, when you do it, and everything else. The purpose, in this case, would be to influence your browser's behavior to increase traffic to the Telauncher website or simply to sell this information, which is very valuable. Knowing what the user searches for, what they consume, and what they like is very valuable just for ads. That moment when you open a social network and the bicycle you were searching for shows up, or the computer you wanted appears. And there was a time when, for 24 hours, Avast itself, the popular antivirus, falsely flagged Telauncher, which was later fixed. And then, the rumors just kept growing. Besides that, there are accusations that nothing happens at the moment of download, but rather later as you keep using the launcher and it gets some surprise update. And this is, for example, the case of that Reddit post I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Several reports from people later saying they noticed some spyware or malware inside the launcher after using it for a while. So here's the million-dollar question, is Telauncher safe or not? Well, obviously, the company has already spoken out a few times and said that the accusations were false. They posted a huge article on their website, addressing each topic one by one. Some explanations were shallow and basically just said trust us, while others were actually pretty solid. And they implied that the people who supposedly found a virus in the program had downloaded it from an unreliable source. And in fact, there are a lot of people who make tutorials on the internet and modify the original program, then leave it for download with a malicious file. The same thing can happen with maps, mods, and various plugins, as I already mentioned in this video. In other words, first of all, be suspicious of any source that isn't official. And secondly, all things considered, and since it's the most popular launcher in the world, I believe that currently, at least, if you downloaded your Telauncher from a reliable source from the original website, it is safe. If by any chance there's a programmer watching this video, leave your technical feedback in the comments below. But Leo, what should I do then? If you still have some doubts about your Telauncher, I'll mention some alternatives for pirated Minecraft. But first, let me make it clear that I've never used any of them and I'm not sponsored by any of them either. Some people say that I'm sponsored by Minecraft and that's why I speak badly about Telauncher, but actually that's not the case at all. So I'll also leave it up to the community to comment below about the launchers you use. Well, among the most famous ones, we have SK Launcher and Legacy Launcher. Back in my day, when I actually played, I used the Shignima launcher, that sponge launcher, because my parents didn't trust buying a blocky game from the internet. And before that, I also used Dark RBP, a pirated Minecraft launcher, very practical and very old, which eventually stopped working. And out of curiosity, Notch himself, the creator of Minecraft, has stated several times that he didn't think piracy was a bad thing. So if you feel guilty for not having money to buy the original game, or just don't want to spend money on it, don't worry. Obviously, the original version is safer and has some benefits like servers and skins, but playing a pirated version isn't going to hurt anyone, especially if you just enjoy single player. It's worth mentioning that Microsoft offers 90 minutes of the original Minecraft completely free for any user. It's 90 minutes per world in the game, so once you reach that time limit, you can simply delete the map and create another one. And that's good for those who want to build in creative mode, or even play good old survival, crushing zombies and troopers. To download this demo version, just search for Minecraft Free Trial and click on the first option from the official website. After downloading, the only thing you'll need to do is create a Microsoft account and then finally just play the demo.
Case 4, bonus case, Grotesque, Steve, and Jenny mod. Well, given the history of the mods, I think you can already imagine how problematic they are. By itself, because it involves inappropriate content in a children's game.
And the other one simply adds a deranged Steve, who chases you, catches you,
and does extremely questionable things. The thing is, as we've already discussed in this video, any download made from external sources, unofficial sources, and unreliable sources carries a high risk of containing viruses.
So, if by any chance you've been searching for different mods on YouTube or Google, never forget to check the source. Because people with bad intentions take advantage of the hype around these mods to spread malicious files out there. And not just in these two mods, but even in famous mod packs, for example.
If Dubertet has a famous series just like with the mod pack, someone could download the mod pack, put a virus in it, and then make it available for download. To catch some people off guard, so be careful. And I strongly recommend that you watch the video on the channel where I specifically talk about the story of Grotesque Steve, Genimod, and even Verity, the most messed up, bizarre, and disturbing horror mods in the history of the game. Take this as a warning.
You can never be too careful, and don't add random mods without checking them first. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram.
And I mean, it's at 7.